Hello.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. My name is Karen 12,
Yeah,
and with me as always is Jay.
yeah. I'm Jay Treat. This is Karen 12's. We are in games and we are in improv, and we're going to talk to you today about failure and how it's not just necessary. It's not just unavoidable, but it's fine. It's okay, and even desirable. I would argue.
Sometimes it's even fun.
Yeah, exactly. Um,
So, do you want to talk about like your own experiences with improv first, and kind of how we tie that in?
Sure, sure. So I got into improv about 3 years ago on the basis that I love role-playing games. I love all these things where I act and take on characters and voices and things. And I thought I'd check it out. It turns out I'm a real fit for it. I enjoy it. What I particularly love about improv is that it's got this culture around it that embraces failure. It's about trusting each other on stage. It's about trusting yourself and what we're all capable of and just putting yourself out there and finding that that is enough. And it's really great. Even sometimes we nail something and that's phenomenal. And sometimes we miss the mark and that can be amazing. In fact, I would argue that if you go to an improv show where nobody ever messes up or fails at all, you're probably not going to laugh. You're probably not going to have much fun.
Yeah, we'll model maybe some games a little later on where we might intentionally throw the game for comedy, because the audience does want to see you sweat a little bit. So we do definitely encourage failure sometimes, and expect it, and are okay with it. So I've been doing improv for a little over 12 years now, and as soon as I started, immediately saw a lot of the overlap in the skills between improv and gaming, and that they were very useful. So I started teaching the Improv for Gamers workshop, where we kind of take a lot of those exercises that improvisers use to practice various performance skills. And we practice them and talk about how it's really helpful for different skills that we use in gaming and all types of gaming, because it really all comes down to just being collaborative, being listening, being positive and encouraging to each other, and being okay with not being perfect. So that has been a really fun thing that I've been doing for some time. And I think the failure idea of it is something that's maybe not talked about. We kind of almost brush it over a little bit. We just like, oh, if you mess up, we're all going to say woo, or we're all going to go yay, and just keep going. We really try to not break it down too much and focus on it. And one of the favorite things that an instructor told me once, that she always says when she feels like she messes up or kind of loses her train of thought, is just goes, I pretended wrong. Which helps put it into perspective that it's really not that big a deal.
Yeah, and one of the first things that you might be coached about learning improv is that if you're going along in a game, in a scene, whatever it is, and something comes out wrong or you didn't quite play by the rules that you were trying to, um, the instinct is to be like, oops, sorry, I really messed that up. And if you just keep going, if you just pretend that you did nothing wrong, that that was what you intended to do, or that it was cool, or that it was okay, it's very rare that the audience will even notice. You can almost always just keep on going, and it'll be 100% fine.
I think a lot of improv is really putting your trust into your scene partners to take care of you. You know, make your partner look good is one of those improv words of wisdom. And it really comes down to, not letting each other fail, taking whatever happens on stage and making it work, and really taking care of each other to make everybody look pretty awesome. And when you have confidence in your team members, you end up having a lot of confidence in yourself. And so just kind of carrying that forward means that there's really not a lot of failure that we like recognize as failure. Not to say that there aren't bad shows sometimes. There are. I've been in them. I've given poor performances, and I've been okay with that. You do debrief and say, well, this worked, that didn't work. Maybe I wasn't listening enough. Maybe I was getting distracted trying to push my own ideas forward and not being as much of a collaborator. And you just move forward and say, all right, I'm gonna be better next time. So we really always try to look at our quote unquote failures that happen on stage as, areas of improvement. So reframing failure is a huge part of improv. And I think it's something, that we think about in game design is reframing that.
Yeah. So we're coming at this from an improv angle, but that's not all we're going to talk about today. We are going to play some games later, but you've probably heard the phrase fail faster if you've been anywhere near the game design community or some other creation communities. And the idea is you have to iterate in order to make a game better, or an adventure, whatever it is that you're creating, whatever you're working on. You got to try it, see how it works, see what didn't work, change some things, try some new things. The more you can do that, the faster you can do that, the sooner that design, that creation will come to a place that you're really happy with. And that's what the fail faster idea is all about. You're not going to say, oh, I really have to get this right the first time. I've got to get it perfect before I put it out there. Because the longer that you stew on something, the longer that you're not making the actual thing and trying the actual thing, you're losing time, because you're going to learn so much more from actually just doing the thing and trying the thing than you are from thinking about it for 10 times that amount of time. So fail faster is this philosophy that I hope you've heard about. If not, you're hearing about it now. Highly recommend it. Do the thing, try the thing, see what works, try the next thing, and like, you don't need to beat yourself up about what did and didn't work. Nobody expects, no game came out of the gate finished, right? No creation was just done upon arrival in its creator's head. You got to put it out there, see what works. And sometimes you find that the thing that works isn't even like close to what you thought it was going to be. But if you have that flexibility, you can pivot and you can say, oh, well, this thing is actually really cool. Instead of what I was originally going to go for, I'm just going to see where that takes me, which is another thing that you do in improv.
As a games editor, I definitely see kind of the other side of me giving advice about maybe what we need to consider a failure and move on from. And, sometimes with designers, it's, there's the one thing that you're clinging to in your game. You really, 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 really want this one move in there because you just love the way it's worded. And as you end up iterating and developing, not everything gets to come with you along the way. And sometimes you have to look at that one thing that you've been hanging on to this whole time and say it doesn't fit anymore, and let that go. And so that's something I see as an editor, is going through and trying to tighten everything up. When games come to me, they've already been pretty play tested, but we still have to look at, like, is this the best possible game that we can make it? Is everything worded in the best possible way? Are people going to be able to pick this up and play it? And that's kind of what I look at as an editor too. And having that kind of improv mindset of one, kind of letting your ego go for when you get feedback, it's very helpful. Of just hearing it and not taking it personally, which is, I think, the hardest thing. And having written my own book, that was hard for me too, to hear feedback. So I've been on both sides of that. When the first draft of Improv for Gamers came out, it was a completely different book. It was written to a completely different audience. It was organized differently. And my editor said, what if we did it completely different? And I said, cool. So I went back and rewrote the whole thing. And it was better. It was better because of that.
Yeah, ego can very much get in the way of anything that you do. One of a reframing that I really like around that is, instead of trying to take pride in the thing that you've created itself, try to take pride in your process, in your craft, right? If I'm taking pride in how I'm learning to be a better game designer, how I'm learning to be a better improviser, how I'm learning to be a better spouse, whatever it is, then I'm not holding on to the details of what I've already done. I'm instead always just looking for opportunities to improve. And I can take a lot of pride in that. And then I'm not stuck in a detail, and I'm then able to get out of that and take a look and be like, well, is that actually the best thing, or is there another better thing? Let's play something. Do you want to do 3 things, or do you want to do?
Yeah, we can do 3 things. 3 things is one of my favorite warm-up games. If I can pitch it a little bit, I love it because it has a couple of my favorite components. One, something that we get to shout at the same time, because I just love the unity of that, and also like a coordinated hand gesture, because I love anything that has a little bit of physicality in it too, because improv is something that you really need to feel, and so it's nice to have this kind of unified movement that you can get into, and it just helps wake you up. So it's a category game, and we're just going to go back and forth and rapid fire give each other categories and try to name 3 things in that category as quickly as possible. And what you'll see here, going back to taking care of your partner, is we're not trying to make it hard for each other. We're not quizzing each other. I'm not going to ask things that I don't think Jay can answer, because that's not the type of failure that we're going for. I'm not trying to make Jay uncomfortable or unhappy and struggle in a way that isn't fun. The struggle is just going to come from us not being able to think of things off the top of our heads and coming up with weirder ideas as we have to go search deeper and deeper into our brains. So, and I encourage, if there are people on the chat that want to type in their own ideas as we go, it's really fun to see how everybody answers these questions differently. So it's fun in a group to kind of answer along in your head, because you might be really surprised by what the other people say, or they might say the exact same thing as you and you're like, oh, we're on the same page, which is also very satisfying. So that's my teacher pitch for 3 things. So I will start. So Jay, what are 3 things that are really big?
A plane is really big. Semi-truck is really big, and the earth is really big.
Cool. So we're all going to celebrate that Jay did the thing by shouting 3 things and kind of pumping our fists or just getting excited. Jay, do you want to try to say it at the same time? We're going to have some lag, so it's not perfect, but we're going to do it anyways. Ready? 3 things. Perfect.
Nailed it.
It's even messier online, which I honestly am totally fine with, because we don't have to do it in unison. We just have to both do it. Which I think goes back to your point of like, you just got to put it out there.
Yeah.
So we're just celebrating that we did the thing. We're not going to grade the answers. So Jay's going to ask me a category now.
All right, Karen, give me 3 really soft things.
Ooh, pillows, those blankets that are like fake fur, and softer pillows. 3 things.
Thanks.
You can tell I ran out of ideas when I just start looking to the side, going deeper. And that was my idea. And it was great. It was perfect. And it's over now. So that's also the best part about that game, is you just have to do it. Okay, Jay, what are 3 things that are blue?
The sky is blue. The little lights on the side of my webcam are blue, and most Americans are blue right now in emotional terms.
3 things.
Thanks.
The lights on my webcam are blue too. Maybe we have the same webcam. Oh, twins.
So, all right, Karen, give me 3 things to run away from.
3 things to run away from. You can run away from a scary dog. You can run away from a Yeti, and you can just like run away from a person who is taller than you. 3 things.
3 things.
That's what I always do.
Awesome. Does anybody else in the room want to come up and try 3 things? Just turn on your camera and we'll ask you 3 things. We're going to be real gentle with you.
I'm in.
Hey, Jason. What's
Hi.
up?
Not too much. I'm excited to join you today.
Yeah,
Cool.
Coming.
All right, we're just going to do it. Jason, what are 3 things that you could wear as a hat that aren't hats?
Three things you could wear as a hat that aren't hats. A newspaper, a golden crown, and Kevin Sorbo.
Three things.
Nailed.
Sometimes when people play this, they count each one. I don't like that because I think it gives you too much time to think. So it is fun to go like 1, 2, 3 things. It's like, no, faster. Jason, why don't you hit one of us with a question?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you a question, Karen.
Yeah.
3 things you would find in the ocean.
You can find fish, you can find kelp, and you can find sunken pirate wrecks. 3
things.
Jay, what are 3 things that go fast?
A car, time, and fig.
3 things.
3 things. So something cool just happened there, right? I said an answer that isn't really a very good answer to the question. And it's okay. It's totally cool, right? My friends here supported me, and it's over, and I have suffered nothing as a result. Actually, I kind of enjoyed that a little bit because they like had my back even when I wasn't doing at my best. And that feels amazing.
Yeah, that goes back just to building that background of trust. You know that we're going to celebrate it no matter what. It really actually doesn't matter what you say. Like, you should try, but we're going to be super excited that you did the thing, that you said 3 things rather than you said 3 things that were technically a good answer. I want to ramp this up a little bit to make it more difficult, which is more things. Do you want to do 5 things? Do you want to do 8 things?
I liked your idea of jumping all the way to 8. I think that's
Let's do 8. Let's do 8 things. So maybe we can kind of help each other out counting on our fingers as we go, because I will lose count for sure. But 8 things is definitely trying to get you that brain fry where you've said everything that came to your mind first, and now your brain is going to come up with some really weird stuff, and that's going to be fun and surprising for you as well. Sometimes improv is just about getting out there and opening your mouth and seeing what you say. And that can be really fun. And sometimes you have to do that. You know, if you see a friend, your scene partner is kind of on stage waiting, you just have to jump out there and join them, you know, and you might not have a plan, but you got to do it because you got to be there for them. So Jay, I'll start with you. What are 8 things that you can eat?
You can eat an apple. You can eat a sandwich, French fries, candy, ham, turkey, provolone, hamster. Oh.
8 things. Sure, technically yes.
That was that ham association.
Yeah,
Aaron,
good.
what are 8 things made out of wood?
A bookcase, a desk, a chair. I should be counting along too. A house, a smaller house, a birdhouse, a bigger house, and a statue. 8 things.
Things. Great.
There you go. Jason, what are 8 things that you could put in a bread box?
Oh, a marble, a mouse, a monster, an alligator clip, a phone charger, a coin, a bat, and a spider web.
8 things.
So there's something else great that's going on here. And this is all part of just like improv, putting yourself out there, not knowing what you're going to do, and just seeing what happens. And that is that each of us names some things that, you know, if you gave us 5 minutes to name 8 things in these categories, no problem. We'd come up with the 8 most logical things, basically.
Oh, we could have had the coolest ideas, the really smart, clever ones.
Yeah. But instead, we had amazing ideas, right? Instead, we had like an alligator clip. It's like that's not something that you're like writing a poem and you're like, and the alligator clip was in the house. No, that's top of the mind stuff that is brilliant, because suddenly we're like, oh man, what is that alligator clip doing in the house, and why is it important that we're focusing on that?
It's so specific, and you just want to dive into that weird thing and make it make sense and explain it, and like the comedy will come from that.
Yeah. So what some people might call small failures in our answers to 8 things are honestly the best part of it. Right? It's the stuff that we as improvisers are gonna be like, well, that's different, that's interesting. Let me latch onto that. And it's also the stuff that the audience is gonna be like, oh, I didn't see that coming. Let's see where this goes. So
I'm seeing some various 8 things in the audience, in the comments, and I love it.
Oh,
I
great.
think, yeah, there's the food. Yeah, so it is fun. And again, I don't know if the link is there, but we will, be playing more games, and people can jump in and help us out as needed, because it is fun to have a couple more people and more ideas. I wanted to bring it back to gaming a little bit to talk about failing differently, as opposed to not doing the thing.
Yes.
Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think that's great.
Because I think, it's not a new idea. There are so many games that will build into the mechanics. When you roll under your goal, something still happens. It's not nothing happens. Something happens. It just might not go your way in the way that you thought it would. And that's a really important thing in improv. We have the improv term of blocking, which is someone gives you an idea and you go, no, that's not going to work. So nothing happens, and the story doesn't go anywhere because of it. And now you have to come up with new ideas. And you see that in games if you roll low and you say, no, you don't do it. So improv is a lot about taking that failure, but still moving the story forward. And so we see that in game mechanics that have something built in there. Or even, you as a GM or even as a player can bring that in narratively yourself and say, yeah, I didn't do it, but this other thing happened instead. Or maybe I did do it, but it's not going to work out the way I wanted it to. What are some of your experiences with that?
Yeah, so I agree. When it's okay, I'm gonna try a thing and I'm gonna roll a die, and if I roll the right numbers, then I succeeded at the thing, and otherwise I fail. It's effectively the lose a turn mechanic, which game designers will tell you right now is not a modern design philosophy anymore, right? Players play games to play, to experience, to try things, to see what happens and have stuff come out. So when you can instead say, okay, I roll a die, and either the thing that I expected happened or something else happens, as long as it's adding to the fiction, as long as it's adding to the experience, that's way better than just saying, nope, nothing happened, try again.
I love the game Archipelago for their mechanics, which is just pure improv, because you have a deck of cards, and the cards will have what I call the sliding scale of success. So you can have yes and, so it happens so well you get more. Yes, but it happens and there's a consequence. No, but you don't do the thing, but something else happens. And no, and not only does it not happen, but worse things happen. And so even though the word no is in there, it still gives you something to move the story forward. And so I love that as a resolution mechanic, because it just gives you a range of how the story is still going to go. And if you embrace that improv mindset of it's okay if things don't go well for your character, the audience really wants to see you struggle a little bit, on stage. They like seeing you suffer. They like seeing bad things happen to the characters, and it's okay. Not everybody is going to be this like high status, I win all the time, I'm unflappable, nothing can hurt me type of character. Those are boring, super boring.
Yeah, and I feel like this discussion bridges into kind of like, well, what really is failure?
What is failure? I like that.
Failure. Right.
We just don't know.
We as a culture have demonized failure, and to the extent that we just take a whole bunch of things that do that we do and that happen, and we call them failure, right? If you try to do A and A is not what happens, we put a big failure mark on it, and we say that's a bad thing. But you know, who was it that invented penicillin by accident?
Oh, I'm a liberal arts major.
Okay. So there was, I want to say Fermi, but that's not right. That's not right. Anyhow, there was a scientist who was like trying to make one thing, and he left some cultures out overnight, and then something else happened, and that's how we got penicillin. Right? That was a failure. It was not what he intended to do. And
Jason is giving us some answers in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexander.
So always knows these things. And I have no clue.
Yeah. So like that's an example. Do we still call that a failure? I do, because he tried A and he didn't succeed at A, but it was a good failure because it led to something even better than what Mr. Fleming was trying to do. Dr. Fleming?
I think that's a really good point, that we shouldn't be afraid of that word. You know, there was a fad of, not a fad, and not to say that it was a bad thing. I wish I could back that statement up. In gaming, we talk about, you know, reframing a failure as a complication, which I think is a good thing, but also just use the word failure and have fun with that. You know, you can be excited about your character not doing well. You can intentionally roll things that you know are not going to go well for your character because you think it's going to be fun for the story if they really botch it. And so we can use that word failure and treat it as a fun thing.
Yeah. The
you know, as an opportunity.
Has this concept of play to lose, some subcultures in it. And I love that because I love stories. I love to watch TV and read books about characters who, you know, they don't immediately succeed at the thing, right? They got to try and they got to fail, and there's got to be obstacles and setbacks, and it's even juicier when those obstacles and setbacks are personal, are like something that is inside that character. And when I'm LARPing, I get to play a character, and you know, maybe I'm a great person and I'm just not getting there, or maybe I'm a flawed person, or maybe I'm an awful person. In any case, it's going to be fun for the audience, which is, you know, the people I'm playing with and me watching from inside, to see that struggle, to see that failure. And maybe there's some success in there too. It doesn't need to be all failure. It doesn't need to be all losing. It can be a combination. And often you'll see the arc where, you know, the classic story arc is try, fail, succeed, right? That's the fun. And that's really satisfying.
Yeah. There's the concept of status in improv, which you can break down in different ways. And I actually, of course, after I wrote it in my book, I like found a much better way to teach it. I was like, oh, this is so much better than what I did. But it's really about your character's confidence in themselves and how they carry themselves, how much they apologize and how much they don't apologize for anything. So you think about, you know, do you move out of the way of someone walking towards you on the street, or do you wait for them to move? That is status. That is how you carry yourself and how you view yourself and view others in relation to you. And you need to have a mix of status in scenes. If everyone's high status, again, it's boring. You're just fighting for status. Low status characters can be super fun. It's often ones that I go towards. I'm just more comfortable playing low status characters. We can unpack that later. And you can see sometimes the rise and fall as things happen. Things complicate people's lives and they lose status, or good things happen, they gain status. One of my troops that I perform with, Chick Flick, we will tell a story of kind of one relationship moving through time. And usually by the end, people have flipped status, which is just kind of the way we realized we were telling stories all the time, is we would have a high status at the start, and that person would get their comeuppance in the end. And the people that were kind of being punched down on at the start would end up on top, because we just liked a happy ending. And that's what we did. Too much, perhaps. But it was fun. It was satisfying. I would love actually for us to play another game where we fail on purpose. because this is a game where you are encouraged as the improviser to throw the game because it's fun. If everyone's doing well at this game, it gets kind of boring, actually. So if a third or a fourth person wants to jump in on this, it's fun to have more than one person because you kind of tag out. So why don't we play the alphabet game? And you might have seen this if you've ever watched Whose Line Is It Anyway? You might have seen these type of comedy sports or theater sports games that are a little competitive. There is winning and losing, and the losing is what gets the laughs, honestly.
Welcome, Marshall.
Hello, Marshall. So the way it works, let's say Jay and I are going to start a scene, and we'll just start at let's start at the middle of the alphabet. Let's start with the letter J, because there we are. And I will start a sentence that starts with the letter J. Jay is going to then start his sentence with the next letter in the alphabet, which is H-I-J-K. And we're going to whisper the alphabet in our heads to ourselves a lot as we try to remember the alphabet. So you'll see that. But if we hesitate for too long or we say the wrong thing, we get tagged out. That person's out, and Marshall's going to hop in and pick up right where they left off. So it's an elimination game, kind of. But honestly, it's kind of helping you out when you fail, because then you get to take a break. So failure is a good thing. And again, it's kind of the fun thing that the audience is encouraged to, everyone goes, ah, or you clap and say, you're out of here, or something. Everyone gets excited when you lose. So again, if we're doing too well, you're encouraged as an improviser to throw the game.
Will this be better with four, Karen?
Yeah, we can keep tagging out, and someone else can hop in. So why don't I start? I'm going to start with Jay, and then Jay will be the next one, and whoever, which one of us messes up first, someone else can jump in. We should get a suggestion of like maybe where we are. Can we get like a location?
Yeah. Can we get a geographic location and a specific type of place? Taco Bell in the Klondikes, whatever, something like that.
I think you're in New York City. Jason, do you know where in New York City?
Yeah, you are in Rockefeller Center.
Sweet. Don't know anything about it. I'm going to make it up.
Oh, we can do that.
I'm going to pretend like I do, and my failure will be funny. All right, just hold still for this photo. I need to get it for my Instagram.
Okay, I'm trying here, but it's real hard with all these bees. I'm allergic, see?
Let me not know what my line is going to be. I'm just going to fail fast. Marshall, why don't you jump in with L?
May I? Oh, with L, all right. Mm-hmm. Let me help you with that.
Most obliged. Anything you could do to get rid of these bees.
No problem whatsoever. I think the problem was that your friend who just ran away did have ice cream kind of poured on her back by one of the kids that's around here.
Oh, that was ice cream? I thought that was from the birds.
Probably. The pigeons here are problematic.
Okay. Oops.
Jay's out. Jason, you're in with Q.
Quite. Those pigeons are quite a problem here in Rockefeller Center in New York City.
Really, do you have to interrupt every time I try to make a new friend?
Saying something is what I do.
Too often.
Ugliness will not profit you, my friend.
Verily, which is not good enough. Karen, you're in with me.
Yeah, it took too long. Very true, very true, very true. Let me ask you this, though. Have you ever been to the top of the center of Rockefeller?
Where?
Xerxes. We are at Rockefeller Center in New York City. We have chased away the bees, and I would just love to get a picture of you for my Instagram.
Yes, yes, I understand now. I'm very sorry. I was confused for a moment about where we were.
Zounds! What an amazing view.
Absolutely. I wish that we could have all our friends here to see it as well.
Better get them on the call.
Chum! Chum! Okay, that's me.
You're out. Okay, Jason.
Calliope is going to sign my poster. I'm really in love with this band. Calliope is a band.
You love them. They are an awesome band.
Every time they come to Rockefeller Center, my accent changes.
Funny how that happens. I hadn't noticed it until you pointed it out.
Good. I'm glad I'm going under the radar.
Hey, how about after this, we go get some more ice cream and maybe the bees won't chase me this time.
I don't know about that ice cream. It's a little bit too much like bird poop.
Just pose for the picture first. All right, we made it. We made it through the alphabet. Hey, thank you, Jason and Marshall, for joining us. So you can see that game was very messy, and it's supposed to be. It's fun to watch everyone kind of struggle. And in the audience, you're always kind of following along with the alphabet and being like, oh man, they're going to get to X. How are they going to do it? I don't know. And so it is a game where you are encouraged to fail, because if we had just been too good with that alphabet, it gets kind of boring.
Yeah. So there's another thing that happened there that I want to call out. So I mentioned earlier that sometimes when you mess up a little bit in improv, you can just pretend it didn't happen and nobody will notice. There's another option that's actually pretty cool. So I kind of went through two accents while I was speaking, and when Jason took on my character, he did another accent. Maybe he did that on purpose, maybe not, I don't know. But for me, it created a pattern. It was like, okay, whoever this character is, their accent changes. So rather than, I could have just ignored that. I could have done Jason's accent. I could have done whatever and not called it out. That would have been fine. But instead, I decided to celebrate that, right? That's something that the audience might have noticed. So me calling it out gives you a chance to feel smart. And it means like, oh, well, like that thing that I didn't intend to do, maybe not a mistake. Maybe it's a really cool thing.
So that goes to the improv skill of justification, of making things make sense. And that's where a lot of comedy comes from, is you have something absurd and you call it out and you explain why that makes sense. And that explanation is where we get comedy sometimes. So that is a lot of how scenes move forward, is just kind of explaining things. And we don't want to overload our scene with too many weird ideas, because then the justification gets a little difficult. We can have plenty of fun with just one weird thing. We can take that alligator clip that's in the bread box and figure that out. And that explanation is going to be really fun. We don't need to throw in a lot of wackiness to it.
Yeah.
So I think my favorite type of improv is, people taking an absurd situation extremely seriously. You always want to have characters who feel real feelings, which again goes back to an unflappable character is boring. You want to have characters who have weaknesses and have feelings. And a trick that I like, if you find yourself stuck in a scene and you don't know what to say, is reveal a secret. Just look your partner right in the eye and say, there's something I have to tell you. And then reveal something that, for whatever reason, your character was hiding from them, and you're going to figure out why. Why was that important to hide from them? Why was that a secret? What does it mean now that they've revealed it? What does the other person feel now that they've heard it? You get to unpack that relationship and all of those fun feelings. So I would love to play a game about sharing horrible secrets.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So again, if anyone wants to jump in, you absolutely can. But we will just kind of go right in so people can jump in if you're excited about something. So this is called Animal Secrets. which is a riff on just playing it as a secrets game, or you can play it as objects too. Animal secrets, though, we're going to pick an animal, and we are going to tell different secrets as if we were that animal, revealing those secrets. Now, this could be, you know, something kind of a play off of that animal. If it's a zebra, you could say like, I love plaid and all colors. And that's kind of funny because zebra is black and white, haha. Or you can do something that just would be kind of funny for like an anthropomorphic zebra to say, like, I've been cheating on my taxes for 18 years. So it doesn't really matter what the secret is. It's a fake secret. We're not giving real secrets about ourselves. But we are saying it as if we are deeply ashamed about this secret. So we're really enjoying the failure of having to reveal this horrible secret. That's going to be pretty absurd, but we're feeling real feelings for it. So what is an animal that we should use? You can give chat a little bit of time on the delay to maybe throw an animal suggestion in there. So I'm going to vamp spider monkey. Thank you. I read spider monkey. So we're going to tell some spider monkey secrets.
I'm afraid of spiders.
So each time and I forgot the next part of this, of course, after each secret, we're both going to say, and again, this is my favorite type of game, we're going to say secrets and kind of like wiggle our fingers a little bit like it's over a cauldron. I don't know why, but that's just how we do it. That's how I do it. So that's how I teach it. Secrets. All right. If I have to eat one more piece of fruit, I swear to God, I am going to jump off a cliff. Secrets.
I'm so embarrassed. I was in that Ace Ventura movie.
Secrets. You think that's bad? My cousin was the monkey on Friends, and he never let me live it down that we both auditioned and I didn't make it. Secrets.
I cheated on my SATs.
Secrets. One time I was driving and there was a hitchhiker on the side of the road, and I could tell that they probably looked like a nice person, and I could have pulled over, but I didn't. I just kept driving, and I think about every day what happened to that hitchhiker.
Secrets. When I was 2 years old, because I'm a monkey, I thought that my tail would mean that I could go Super Saiyan, and I tried really, really hard to go Super Saiyan, and it didn't work.
Secrets.
I once had a fight with my cousin, another spider monkey, while we were driving. I pulled over on the side of the road and I made them get out of the car, and I just drove away.
Secrets.
So I could play this game for hours. And we'll often play till we just kind of the well runs dry on that animal and pick a new one and have fun with it. But you can see that we're really getting ourselves revved up for telling secrets. Thanks, Marshall, for participating and sharing your shameful spider monkey secrets. So again, failure is fun. Having weaknesses is fun. It's written into games of having a complication, having weaknesses, having things that you aren't good at. And you should absolutely play those things and tell people what your character has as weaknesses so that you can bring those up. Secrets particularly are not exciting if nobody at the table knows them, because then you can't play with the subtext of them. You can't make them important and justify them in the game if they are just a character's personal secret. And you're like, oh, my character has secrets I'm going to reveal at the very end of the campaign.
Yeah.
I was in a large.
Your fellow players' secrets. You can not just play to help those secrets become revealed, which is always an amazing moment. You can also dance around them, right? Like you can make implications.
I'm nervous.
Karen's spider monkey saw a hitchhiker on the side of the road, and I was like, hey, I can play into that by being the spider monkey that dropped that person on the side of the road, right? And we're starting to build secrets that tie into each other that eventually we're going to get to like that nutty center, nougaty center.
I don't know.
It's got nuts and nougat.
It's got a center.
It's delicious.
It's got a center in there, and there's something in it.
That's going to be like, oh, and who is that person, and what did happen to them? Spider Monkey. Spider Monkey's a big one.
Yeah. I was in a LARP once that I absolutely loved, and I only found out at the end that there were 2 different characters who had a crush on my character, and we were all adopted kids, but adults now, and they had both harbored a crush. My character, of course, loved them as siblings always, and I was like, if I had known, I would have made both of you so uncomfortable, because that would have been hilarious. I didn't know. I was like, we're just happy. Me and my adopted siblings, we're just one big happy family. And I had so much fun in the game anyways, but I only found out that secret later. I was like, man, I wish I had known. Because I could have played to it, and I could have made their characters suffer a little bit. And I knew that they would have been down for that. They were making themselves suffer. They had told each other and like admitted to each other their secrets. So they were playing with the secrets, but I was like, I could have gotten in on that fun. So it goes.
A big part of us feeling safe enough to come up here and just do unscripted stuff for you is we've got an environment of trust. We've built that for ourselves, right? Karen and I, and Jason and Marshall and everyone here has come into this saying, okay, we know that the people who are here are going to have each other's best interest at heart. We're here with a playful attitude of love and sharing, and we're going to take care of each other. And that makes it safe for us to put ourselves out there, to try things we don't know how we're going to go, and to fail and be okay.
I want to jump on very quickly to give my rant about yes and with this and the environment of trust, because it is something that's very important. Whenever I start teaching a class, I have to remind everybody, we don't know each other. We are strangers in a room all trying something new and scary. We want to be very supportive, but we also want to keep in mind that we don't know each other's boundaries yet and each other's comfort levels. So Jay, Marshall, and Jason and I, we have gamed together. We're familiar with each other. I have a fairly good idea of each other's comfort levels, and I'll choose, I'll be responsible and play within that. You want to always think about that and give people offers that they want to say yes to. Again, we're not trying to make it uncomfortable for each other. Just even going back to 3 things, we're not trying to make it hard at the other person's expense. That's not where the comedy is coming from. So the rule of saying yes and, accepting people's offers and going on with it, building it into the story, you can really only do that if you are in a relationship of mutual trust and understanding, and you are all on board of what you all have the same expectation set of, like, what's the content level? Because you can do, an R-rated 9:30 show, anything goes, bring your own beer, like, absolutely. Very different from the all ages, family friendly 7:30 show. Like, we just all got to be on the same page. So Jason wrote a really cool question in the chat. Do you have advice for designing failure into game rules and, like, normalizing it, getting people to seek it out, making it fun and appealing? Well, there happens to be a really fun game called Fiasco. I don't know if you've heard of it, Jason. It's
you should really look.
It's pretty cool. I mean, I've only played it once or twice. It's all about failure. It's all about celebrating the horrible failures that your characters are going to get into in the end. So designing games where the point is to fail can be really fun, and that's really being very obvious about it. Other games that I've been playing recently, that are very popular in terms of mechanics, as always, are Powered by the Apocalypse games and Forged in the Dark games, which have consequences for rolling under your goal. That can be very cool and fun, and accepting that, again, kind of not framing it as things not happening, and not framing it as a block, but looking at it as just another way that the story goes. Jay, what do you think about how to design failure into game rules? Me not being a designer, just someone who plays a lot of games, might not have the best experience to speak from.
I mean, you are tangentially at least a game creator because you've done editing and stuff like that. But
True.
so the two things that I want to share. One is that the trick to making a game fun the entire time is that it has to be fun not just when you win, when you succeed at the thing that you're trying to do. It also has to be fun when you don't. And so an example of that, and this is just what's coming to the top of my head, but it's fine, is in Magic the Gathering, there are two ways you can lose the game. One of them is super fun. When your opponent does something new or exciting or amazing, some combo that you've never seen, or just pulls off an amazing thing, that actually feels good. Even though you might lose because of that cool thing, you love the same game that they do. You're like, that was super cool. Awesome. That's great. When you lose the game,
you're celebrating their success. You're focusing on, that was so cool, that thing you did.
Right. Yeah. When you lose the game to just like not having your deck in the right order, that's not fun, and that's a legitimate detraction from that game. The other thing, I have to bring up the Shuttle Huri Roach, the party game that I have been working on, because it's all about playing these kind of awful academics who are petty and trying to achieve their own agendas, all while this ancient supernatural evil roach is manipulating them to succeed at its own plot. But it's a game that literally asks players to step into this character who is not the best person, has some scandals going on, and then to create fiction, to tell a story with the rest of the table that celebrates those scandals, those little things about their character that their character doesn't want getting out there, their character doesn't want exposed. But we as players that's what we're here for. We're enjoying seeing, all these little things come out, and we're enjoying, more importantly, building that together. I hint at something that my character might have done, and then you see that and you're like, yes, your character did do that thing, and these are the results of it, and that's amazing.
It's so gratifying to know that people listened to you and like remembered it and are doing something fun for your character. You're like, oh, yeah, you remembered me. I said that thing. You brought it back. I forgot the other thing I was going to say, so never mind. Oh, I was going to say, failures should matter to that person. Again, they feel something for it. So a failure, if you can just brush it off and go, whatever, is like maybe not the best narrative choice for that failure. So if we think about, you don't do it, but, or you don't do it and these other complications happen, those should be very important to the character. So you're still driving things forward and making it interesting. Because again, we want to have feelings and have weaknesses and have those matter for some reason, whatever that reason may be.
Yeah. So we have come here today to tell you that most of what you think of as failure isn't really failure. A lot of what you think of as failure is actually a good thing. It's something to treasure and value and look forward to. Some failures do have consequences, right? We're not saying that's not the case. Some successes have consequences. So the Pokemon Go, this is this amazing blockbuster game where people are walking around on their phone, interacting with this game. If you look at the stats, like, people have died playing this game, right? This game is a huge success, and it's come at this like very real cost to families. Success and failure both have consequences. So not all failure, right? If I fail in a way that hurts people, then that is not something I can celebrate. That's something that I'm going to regret. That's something that I'm going to endeavor to try to fix. So I'm not saying all failure is great. But
capitalism, very successful, not good.
Agreed.
I think that's a good point, is making sure that whatever the consequences is, it doesn't hurt anybody, and bringing that back to improv and gaming. It's supposed to be fun, right? Like, even if you're playing a game that is very serious and you might be feeling some real intense feelings, it is supposed to be like an enjoyable thing that you walk away and you're like, I'm glad that I did that. And we need to keep that in mind, that this is supposed to be a hobby for fun
And,
that we do.
and, you know, if you're trying things and you're not worried about failing about them, that's great. If you're trying not to hurt people while you're doing that, that's really, really important. That's excellent. Sometimes, this is how failure works. Sometimes you're going to slip up and something you're going to do is going to unintentionally hurt someone. That's not great. But again, you didn't mean to do that. You have then the opportunity to do everything you can to try to undo the damage as much as possible, to let them know that you regret your mistake, to center the victim if there's a victim involved, and try to repair that. And most importantly, learn from that and not make that mistake again. You don't need to beat yourself up necessarily over the fact that you messed up. Just don't do it again and try to make it better.
Craig Maloney 242 says my mantra is failure is feedback, which I think ties. Yeah, you learn from it, and so it is a gift. It is a good thing because you can still move forward. We are almost running out of time. If anyone wants to drop a quick question into the chat, again, I will vamp for a few seconds for the delay so we can see it. If not, we can maybe have a closing game, but I will keep vamping for a few more seconds. I'm doing a great job, aren't I, at vamping?
You're nailing it.
I am. I'm nailing it. All right, fantastic. Does improv ever make use of out-of-character conversations, like telling a secret out of character to help make the dramatic irony happen instead of just a reveal or to adjust content? Does improv ever make use of out-of-character?
In a way. So it's not possible for Karen and I to walk on stage with anything, with just a suggestion and to already know that kind of secret information, except for what has already happened in the show prior to that. That's something that improv uses a lot of. We'll latch onto things that we see that are interesting. We'll remember phrases or events that are like, oh, it would be interesting to come back to that. And sometimes I can notice something, during the first half hour of the show, and Karen might notice the same thing. And sometimes we've got enough group mind that we can be in a scene that has nothing other than we're on a space mall, and still like, oh, this is the perfect place to bring back that thing. And if that's the case, we can then do this sidey-wise hinting at it. And sometimes that's actually a really good way to communicate that that's where I'm going.
We do a lot of just stating the obvious in improv, and make your character just say it out loud. So it's not out of character. There are also such games like inner monologue where you can turn to the audience and reveal your secrets, still in character, but you just say it. And your scene partner hears it, now they can play with it. Their character doesn't know, so it's character knowledge versus player knowledge, but now they have it. So you can use conceits like that of an inner monologue as well to kind of take that out of character secret.
Great, yeah. Do you want to do death in 60 seconds since we've got like just over 60 seconds?
I would actually love to do fail ball, or as I like to call it, encouragement ball, because it's an all play if people want to jump in real fast. I like calling it encouragement ball because I think that's where the real fun comes. Other people call it fail ball because you also fail. You can call it whatever you want. We're going to take turns throwing invisible ball at each other and really psyching each other up. We're super excited. They're totally going to catch it. It's like your kid in Little League. You're going to be clapping them on and throwing that ball, and they're not going to catch it. There's not. It doesn't matter how. You don't have to make it funny. You just don't catch it. And everyone, again, just like your kid in Little League, that's okay. That's okay. You got next time. So it's just, that's just the game, is encouraging each other and then walking it off. Cool. Hello. All right. Why don't I throw the ball to Jason? So all of us are going to be really excited. I'm going to pretend to throw a ball like this, and then Jason will catch it.
I'm ready.
You're ready? You got this? You got this. You can do this because I believe in you. Here we go. I'm tossing it. Oh, that's right. No, it was fine. It was wide. You're going to get it next time. Super good job. Why did you pick that ball up, though, and throw it to someone else?
I'm going to throw it to Brenda. You ready, Brenda? I don't know if
Brenda's ready.
Brenda might not be there. I'm going to throw it to Jay, and Jay can throw it to Brenda. You ready, Jay?
Yeah, I
All
got
right.
this.
You got this? Eye on the prize, buddy.
You got it, Jay. You got this. I believe in you, Jay.
Here it comes. Go.
Right in the face. Okay.
Right in the face. You caught it right with your face.
Nice
Great job.
Yeah,
Great
good
job
job.
catching it with your face. It was great.
Thank you. All right, Brenda, I'm going to throw it to you. Ready?
Come on, Brenda. You got this.
You got this, Brenda. You can do
Woo!
it. You can do it. It went very wide.
Oh, wow.
Extremely wide, but you got
Yeah.
it. Next
Yep, that
time.
was good.
Next time.
I think that was
So
on Jay.
I think we are out of time with that. Yes, we are at 9 o'clock. But thank you all so much. And thanks, Brenda. Thanks, Jason, for failing with us a bit and having fun with it. Again, it's a game where you fail on purpose, and that's okay. So I think that, is the parting lines. Any other parting words of wisdom?
Celebrate failure. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. We had a lot of fun with you. I hope you had fun, too. Thank you for everybody who participated in chat and on video.
Yeah, and enjoy the rest of the con. All right, I guess we just leave the call.